Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. My name's Ron Tyler. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. Want to thank everybody for being here with us this evening. Folks, this will be an abbreviated show because we're coming on the air so late. It's already 10 minutes before 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I don't want to keep everybody up literally all night long. I don't want to do that. I want to briefly talk about earthquakes, and then I have some statements to make in regards to what has happened during this weekend over in the Middle East. I'm showing you right now the USGS map. We haven't been able to show you this for quite some time because they have not let us show it to you. So I'm going to show you this map now. First off, I'm going over to the Kuril Islands between Japan. Well, actually, we're going over to Japan, but I thought this was actually north of Japan. This is Kushima, Japan. This is a very large 5.9 magnitude earthquake. This is a very large 5.9 earthquake. This is southeast of Kushima, Japan, 89 miles southeast of Kushima, Japan. This is a very large earthquake. Notice that it is away from shore. It is definitely away from shore. I don't believe that anybody felt this quake because this is 89 miles southeast of Kushima, Japan. Notice where it's located. It's right on the fault line. The fault line that comes out of Indonesia. Let me show you this. It comes out of Indonesia here. It runs up the east side of the Philippines, goes over to Taiwan, and then runs up the shoreline of Japan. Okay? This is off the shoreline. Nobody's going to even feel this earthquake, or nobody's going to feel it. Nobody has even felt this earthquake. This happened at approximately 1838 Eastern Time, which is 6:38 Eastern Time. This was about an hour and a half ago. Okay? This was a 5.9 very large earthquake. Now I want to go over, I'm going to reduce this down here. I want to go over to Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea. Yesterday, Papua New Guinea had a 6.5 earthquake here. I'm sorry, Saturday they had a 6.5 earthquake here. A very strong earthquake. However, that earthquake did no real damage except it shook some people up. It was onshore in Papua New Guinea. That 6.5 was onshore here in Papua New Guinea. This earthquake that you're seeing here is an aftershock. It's a 5.4 aftershock, a large aftershock. A 5.5 to 5.9 would be considered to be a very large. This is a middle of the line large earthquake. USGS is calling it a moderate earthquake. It's not moderate. We've seen 5.4 earthquakes kill people. Moderate earthquakes don't kill anyone. Except they do now because USGS changed the dialogue. They're trying to make everybody believe that these are nothing quakes. They are. These are very large earthquakes. In this case, this is a borderline of a very large quake. Look where it's located. Look where this earthquake is located, okay? It's on land. There are some tiny villages around here. There are some very small, tiny villages around here. This is in the mountainous region of Papua New Guinea. You can see that, okay? You can definitely see that. But there's some very small, tiny villages all around this area, okay? For example, I'm going to try to zero in or close in zoom in very close right there. There is a small village right there. Okay? There's also another village over here. Okay? Most of the villages here in Papua New Guinea are around rivers or streams, so people can get water. Okay? That is a very small village right there. That's what happens. Okay? These small villages all over this area depend on rivers for water. Rivers and streams. This earthquake happened in the mountainous region of Papua New Guinea. Okay? It echoed all over this section of island here in Papua New Guinea. It didn't hit directly at a village. It was near villages. Further over here on the northeast side here, I believe right here near the shoreline, there is a small village right here. Okay, let's zoom in here. Okay, there's a very small village here. Okay, that's how it goes here in Papua New Guinea. Okay, these people did feel it, but they did not get hit at the epicenter. The epicenter would have been a totally different story. This is a large earthquake. Those people do not have the building materials that we see here. I'm sorry, you're not even seeing me, but right now. Okay? Now you're seeing me. Those people don't have the building materials that we have and the building codes that we have or standards that would prevent their villages from being destroyed. But their building materials are not up to code, not by a long shot. And as a result, this earthquake probably did do some damage. Okay? The 6.5 earthquake, I'm going to show you where that was. Okay? It was up here. The 6.5 earthquake was up here. Now, I want to zoom in here to this river. Okay? I don't believe anybody was over on this island. This was a small enough island here. Okay? It was a 6.5 very strong earthquake. I do not see any villages anywhere in this area. Look at that. Okay? That's what happened. We do not have any major earthquakes at all, or very strong earthquakes at all, except in this area. Okay, I want to make that clear. Okay? We have some moderate earthquakes all over the place. We have small earthquakes everywhere around the globe. We have minor earthquakes everywhere around the globe. Okay? We don't have any devastating thing to report. Okay? You can see earthquakes here in the United States. We'll talk about these earthquakes here in the United States in a few minutes. Okay? Linda Covington is here in the chat. I want to make sure we talk about this. This is one of the things that I felt necessary to talk about tonight. Okay? I don't have any video to show you right now, but tomorrow I'll show it to you. Linda Covington is talking about Palestinians protesting in San Francisco. There was a huge protest this morning. They blocked the San Francisco Gate Bridge. California Highway Patrolmen on both sides of the bridge lined up, and they eventually stopped the traffic, and they stopped the protesters. The protesters had a banner that they were carrying in front of them, and they were bouncing it up and down so they could get reporters and video coverage of what they were doing, saying "Free Palestine, Free Palestine." We did not have these kinds of protests even a year and a half, 2 years ago. They didn't happen. The only reason why we're getting these protesters now is because Joseph Biden, the supposed president of the United States, is letting them into this country. I am hoping, and this is my own commentary, you can disagree with me as you want, but I am hoping that President Trump can get into office and reduce the number of protesters here in the United States, and we deport everyone. We identify everyone that's been in these protests, and we start with them. We deport every last one of them. Every last one of them. Okay? Everyone. We cannot allow these protesters to do what they're doing. We cannot allow these people from all over the world. Most of them have been allowed into our country because the other countries opened their prisons and told those prisoners to leave. They did. They went on a hike, or they were transported by airplane, airliners, transporting them into the United States or Mexico. Then they got to the border and threw their passports, through their driver's licenses, and through their IDs on Mexican soil before they came into the United States, so as not to be identified as a former prisoner of another country. Yes, those records would follow with them. Those records would follow with them. Okay? How do I know that? Because I was a cop. I was a cop. Anybody that's coming into the United States illegally from another country or that's been released from prison would have a record. So these prisoners, these people that have come across the southern border of the United States have a record. All of them. They left their passports. They left their IDs and driver's licenses on the ground at the U.S.-Mexican border. How do I know that? Because our law enforcement and our Border Patrol, Customs Border Protection has picked the IDs up. And we're continuing to find IDs, identification cards, and driver's licenses and passports all over the border from San Diego all the way east to Texas, through Texas. Okay? That's what's happened. That's what's happened. That's what's happened. It's continuing to happen, and it's not going to stop until we relieve Joe Biden of the presidency of the United States. And that's the goal here. Notice as soon as I started talking about politics, all of a sudden I was being buffered. That's how YouTube controls us, by buffering us. Heaven forbid they do the right thing and let those of us that know what we're talking about talk about what's happening. Diane Kelman says, "Sing it, Ron." I am, and I'm not going to stop. I am not going to stop. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to try a different broadcast venue. I'm going to go from OBS, which is the broadcasting software that I'm presently using, and I'm going to go over to Streamlabs and see if that helps somewhat with the buffering process, because YouTube won't gather my information from Streamlabs quite as soon as they do here on YouTube. Also here on YouTube, one of the things that YouTube has done, they have made sure that they have figured out that I have changed from my phone to my computer again and back to my computer, and what have they done? What has YouTube done? They have begun buffering me again, and they've also taken down the number of people that have viewed my program. If you noticed on the outside of this program, when we finish, it might show 0 people viewing it, or it might also show that there's only 9 or 39 or 110 people that viewed my program, when in actuality there's probably 4,000. YouTube does not want to show anybody that people are watching our program. Heaven forbid. It doesn't matter anymore whether I use my phone or my computer, so I'm going to use my computer. That's a fact. I'm definitely going to use my computer because I want to make sure you get the information we have for you. Notice now they're not buffering me as much. Okay? The buffering starts going off as soon as I call my rhetoric, and I don't talk about politics. Okay? As soon as I call my rhetoric, all of a sudden YouTube stops buffering me. Isn't that interesting? I find that very interesting. But folks, what happened today in Chicago, New York, and San Francisco cannot happen ever again. We cannot allow these protesters to get out on bridges and stop traffic. We can't allow it. Now, there's also another situation I want to tell you about that YouTube is not letting me talk about. Okay? They're preventing me from showing you the video because I've already tried to put it on the software and they're not allowing me to show it. Okay? There was a United States police officer. Presently, he had been working for corrections. He left his office, he left the prison he was working at, and was on his way home on his motorcycle, and 2 people on another motorcycle tried to motorjack him. They tried to motorcycle jack him off his motorcycle and steal it. Well, he wouldn't let them. He got away from them for a great period of time. He went directly home, thinking that he could get his motorcycle into his garage and they wouldn't find him. But as he pulled into his driveway on his motorcycle, they found him. They were right behind him. So he put his motorcycle in his driveway, turned around, and faced the people who were trying to steal his motorcycle. He turned around because he feared for his life, because he was in law enforcement. He turned around and fired 3 shots at him. He took out the driver of the motorcycle. The other person was later arrested and is being charged with attempting to motorcycle jack a vehicle and for the murder of his partner. Because if they had not been doing what they were doing, both of them would still be alive today. So they charged his partner with murder. His partner was part of it. That's the truth. Look again at my video. They have stopped their buffering because I've changed my rhetoric. I've stopped talking about JB and his baloney. Now, something else I want to talk about. Right now, Iran has been 3.5 days on taking out or trying to take out Israel. Israel had the Iron Dome set up so their rockets, their anti-ballistic missile systems were catching the rockets that were inbound from Iran and taking them down. The United States, Britain, and France also had their warships in the Gulf, and they were also taking out missiles and drones headed for Iran, or headed for Iraq. I'm sorry, headed for Israel. They also took down missiles directly from Iran, over in Iraq, and Yemen. They took them down. Yes, a handful of rockets got into Israel. A handful of rockets hit at a military base in Israel. They did very little damage. The only thing they did was they harmed a 6-year-old girl that's still in critical condition in a hospital. They harmed a 6-year-old girl. And now JB in Washington, D.C. is trying, and he's still telling Israel, don't retaliate. Don't retaliate. Israel has every right in the world to retaliate. But Joseph Biden is not going to let the United States military go in with Israel and take out Iran. That can easily be done. We could completely blow Israel off the map. We could completely turn Iran into a piece of glass. A large, expansive piece of glass. We could do that. Will Biden okay it? No. He's already telling Israel, don't do anything. Don't do anything. Yet they have the right to do it. Ginger Gal said the protesters on the bridges burned an American flag. That's also illegal by law. And yet, we are being told to allow them to burn our flags. They're allowing it. They're allowing these protesters and these illegal aliens to do whatever they darn well please. Linda Covington says Jordan is a friend of ours. Yes, they are. Even though Jordan, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia told the United States, and Iraq also told the United States, we could not use our air bases in those areas. We could not launch any airstrikes or do anything from their soil. But our ships from the United States, from Britain, and France took down missiles incoming from Iran. Right now, there's a ceasefire. Iran is stopped. However, that may start up at any moment. It still may restart. We shall see. We shall see. Now, I do not at all support what has happened here. I do not in any way support what has happened with the crazy people from Iran doing what they've done. I don't support it at all. Not one little bit. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to use this USGS map, and I'm going to use it here in just a second. Okay? I'm going to go over here to the Middle East. Okay? Over here. Okay? I want to show you this. See the area that's north of the Gulf. Okay? This area is Iran. This area out north of that earthquake fault that you see here. That red earthquake fault. That is Iran. Okay? And Iran stretches all the way up here to the north. Stretches all the way up here to the north. This whole area is Iran. And they just do what they darn well please. They do what they darn well please. Down here, along the shorelines of the Gulf, is Israel. This area is Israel. Okay? Down here. I'm trying to zoom in here. I don't think it's going to let me get much closer than we already are right here. This is Israel here. Okay? This is what we're trying to protect. This area here is what we're trying to protect. Now, there's a country called Syria, just on the other side here. All the BOMB missiles had to come over 2,000 miles out of Iran. And they had to come across Syria over here to Israel. They developed intercontinental ballistic missiles to attack Israel. To the north of Israel, we have Lebanon here. When the strikes first started, some of the missiles and the drone planes were coming from Lebanon as well. And they were also coming from way down here to the south. Way down here from the south. Okay? Right down here. This is Yemen. This is Yemen. The Houthi rebels here in Yemen are being supported by Iran. That's how they got their drones. And guess what? Guess where Iran got most of their drones? From Russia. From Russia. Iran also got some of their hypersonic missiles from Russia, because Russia is an ally of Iran. So Israel was getting attacked from way down here in Yemen, and they were getting attacked from Iran over 2,000 miles away. 2,000 miles away. And when it first started, like I said, they were also getting attacked from Lebanon. Linda Covington is asking, what would Jesus do? Oh, I am well aware what Jesus would do. I know what Jesus would do. If you remember what Jesus did when the temple was full of the money changers, he knocked their tables over. He literally threw them out of the temple. What do you think he'd do now? What do you think he'd do now in Israel? What do you think he'd do now in Jerusalem if he was there? Yes, he would do something else. He would bring in the United States. If Jesus had, and yes, I'm speaking from my own self, I believe Jesus would retaliate, especially with the severe wounding of a child. They severely wounded a child. Remember what Jesus Christ said about little children? Suffer them to come unto me. Suffer the little children to come unto me. That's what he said. I don't believe that he would even allow Iran to do what they did. Okay? I don't think so. Demon Catman says, be disgusted with humanity and the lack of compassion. I agree. I totally agree. Diane Kellman says, do you understand why people love their dogs as much as they do now? Yes, I do. I absolutely do. But what happened this past weekend over in the Middle East should never be tolerated. Should never be tolerated. And we cannot tolerate it to happen again. We cannot allow it to happen, not ever again. And yes, if I was president, which I'll never be, there's no way in heck I could be, but I would stop it. And look at my program now. I'm looking at my monitor. I'm getting buffered because YouTube doesn't like me talking about this. Heaven forbid I have my own opinion and they allow me to talk. As soon as I start talking my own rhetoric and telling people the way I feel and the way I believe others should feel about this, all of a sudden, I'm not being allowed. Diane Kelman says Israel should absolutely have a right to defend themselves. They didn't start this. No, they didn't. Again, Iran was backing the Hezbollah guerrillas. Iran was also backing the Hamas terrorists coming from the south and Hezbollah from the north. Iran was backing them. This would never have happened had Iran not done what they did. Okay? That's the truth. Now, G. Meisner is in the chat, quoting Genesis chapter 12, verses 2 and 3. Let's go over and look at Genesis 12, verses 2 and 3. One of my friends was talking about this earlier today. I know what Genesis 12, 2 through 3 says. But I want to put it out on the air. I want everybody to understand what's happened here. So let's go look at Genesis 12, verses 2 and 3. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. Now, even in our own day, there is what they call the Abrahamic Accords. The Abrahamic Accords. They are also based on law. They're also based on scriptural law to protect God's people. To protect God's people. Now, Ray Spur says, I don't blame the people of Iran if those mullahs in power. Yes, it is the mullahs in power. But the mullahs, including the Ayatollah Khomeini, have got these people whipped up to such a frenzy. Again, it's called the Islamic Republic of Iran for a reason. They've got these Islamic people so riled up that they're willing to go after any Christian at all. They do not like Christian people. This has been going on for a half century. It's been going on since 1971. Actually, not 71, 1975. Back in 1975, Ayatollah Khomeini, spelled with a K-O instead of a K-A, Ayatollah Khomeini said back then, oh, you need to go attack the U.S. Embassy, which they did. The Islamic faction there kidnapped the people that worked at the U.S. Embassy. And they kept them kidnapped until 1981, until right before Ronald Reagan came into power. Right before Ronald Reagan came into power, guess what? Iran released those hostages. They knew damn well what would happen if they kept them hostage when Ronald Reagan was in power. Iran would not even exist now. Iran would cease to exist. If President Trump was in power now, if President Trump was the president now, and he even said that in Pennsylvania yesterday. President Trump held a rally in Pennsylvania, and he said, this would never have happened if I had been president. This would never have happened if I would have been president. Don Patoka says, correction, it's been going on since Abraham. You're right. You're absolutely right. But in our modern day, this again started in about 1975 and continued ever since. But at least we got our hostages back. The Hamas and Hezbollah terrorists over in the Gaza Strip area now are still holding our hostages. Americans and Israelis. They're still holding hostages there. And they should not be allowed to continue. Not now, not ever. Period. Joe Biden is a traitor. Joe Biden himself is a traitor. What is going on should never, ever be allowed to happen. Not now, not ever again. Period. Not now, not ever again. Period. Should not ever happen. Should not ever be let happen. Those people in Israel do have a right to exist and exist in peace without being threatened every time they turn around with these Islamic people. And I don't have anything necessarily against Islamic people except when they attack Christians and attack anyone because of their faith. That should never, ever, not now, not ever again. It should not be allowed to happen, not ever again. Period. Diane Kellman says in Genesis, God was talking to Abraham, telling them he will bless those who bless the Jews. He will bless those who bless the Jews. Joe Biden is a traitor. G. Meisner is saying he's a traitor and they are in bed with the enemy against God. Pretty much. You're exactly right. Ray Spurler in your history at 1979. Okay, I'm sorry, 1979. Under Jimmy Carter. You're absolutely right. It was 1979 under Jimmy Carter. So I had a couple years back. I'm sorry. Okay? Okay? I'm just saying. It should never have happened. Never. Demon Catman is here in the chat and he says he'd call them out for their sins regardless. I think the Lord is impressed with all that goes on. Or think that the Lord is impressed with all that goes on? No. No. The Lord would not allow it to happen. The Lord would not allow all this nonsense to happen. Plain and simple. Everyone has a right to exist. Everyone. But these individuals that think that they can do whatever they want to do and nothing else should be done about it, they have another thing coming. Okay? Don Patoka's here in the chat, one of my dearest friends. Look up the Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution. It defines joy in detail. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. Anyway, guys, there is nothing major to talk about in terms of earthquakes. Okay? There's nothing major to talk about in terms of earthquakes. However, did you hear that Saturday there was a 5.1 in the Persian Gulf? Actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't in the Persian Gulf, it was in the Eastern Mediterranean. Guess what? One of those missiles went into the Eastern Med, and it went boom. That caused that earthquake in the Eastern Med. That caused that earthquake in the Eastern Med. Crazy as it may seem. Crazy. My buddy Don Patoka brought up Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution. Let me just briefly give everyone a summary of what it says. The supremacy of the people through their elected representatives is recognized in Article 1, which creates a Congress consisting of a Senate and House of Representatives. The positioning of Congress at the beginning of the Constitution affirms its status as the first branch of the federal government. The first branch of the government. Okay? In simple terms, what is the Article 1? We, the people, affirm that the government of the United States exists to serve the citizens. The supremacy of the people through their elected representatives is recognized in Article 1, which creates a Congress consisting of a Senate and House of Representatives. It is defined as this. Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution establishes the legislative branch of the federal government. The branch is composed of a House of Representatives and the Senate, and they are responsible for making laws. Making laws. Making laws. What are the rights of Article 1? All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. Wouldn't it be nice if every nation around the world could say the same thing? Demon Catman says, asking nicely again, maybe throwing your toys out of the prom and swearing no that gets you time out. Yeah. Absolutely true. G. Meisner says Jesus is at the door and he makes even wrong right. I believe that if Jesus Christ was here, he would strongly condemn what happened over the weekend and stop it. Jesus Christ has that power. Jesus Christ has that power. Now, something else that I believe our President and the U.S. Supreme Court have gotten wrong. Again, Article 1, Section 1 of the United States Constitution. Article 1, Section 1. vests all legislative powers in Congress, meaning the House of Representatives and the United States Senate. The House of Representatives has the power by constitutional means to write legislation, especially when it comes to the spending of money by the government. The Senate should be reaffirming that, but they're not. They're not. The Senate of the United States is presently run by Democrat socialists or communists, whereas right now the House of Representatives is controlled by those who are supposed to be conservatives. But guess what? Even the people, both certainly the conservatives and the social democrat communists in the House of Representatives, are almost the same thing. Basically the same thing. They are not even conservatives anymore. They are not acting like conservatives. They're acting like communists, most of them. Most of them. Now, I do have friends who are congressmen at the House of Representatives. They would not want me classifying them as part of the Communist House because they are conservatives, dead to right conservatives. But guess what? They're not in control. The Democrat Communist Party is controlling not just the Democrats, but also the Conservative Party, or the party that is supposed to be conservative here in the United States. And I am now more than ever being buffered bad because I am talking about what is truth. Article 1, Section 1 of the U.S. Constitution, the general principles say Section 1 vests all legislative powers in Congress, which means the President and the U.S. Supreme Court cannot assert legislative authority. And yet, that is exactly what Joe Biden and the U.S. Supreme Court has been trying to do for the past year. The U.S. Supreme Court has attempted to write legislative opinion. That should not be allowed to happen. The U.S. Supreme Court judges are supposed to be judges. They should not have anything to do with legislation. And yet that's exactly what's going on. Unreal. Diane Kelman is here in the chat still and says, yes, sometimes he, meaning Jesus Christ, puts us through trials in order for us to grow in faith. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Ray Spur says those people who act like communists, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, conservatives, are basically what they call rhinos. Republican in name only. Conservative in name only. Which is sinos. Okay? It's incredible. NCWQ is here in the chat, and she's reporting a 4.2 moderate earthquake over by Taiwan. Those 4.2 earthquakes that they keep having there, and they have had 3.5, 3.7s, 4.0, 4.2, 4.5 earthquakes in Taiwan. Every one of those earthquakes in northeastern Taiwan are aftershocks of that 8.4 earthquake that we had there. They are aftershocks of that 8.4 earthquake that we had there. USGS can say whatever they want about that only being a very strong earthquake. That was a major earthquake. USGS, in their downgrading of the quakes, are lying about everything. Heaven forbid that they are held accountable for people that are killed or injured. That is what should happen. Period. By the way, NCWQ doesn't feel good, or she would probably be here in the chat more often here. Now, she and I have a friend. We're going to call her name Joy. Yes, her name is Joy. We're not going to give her any other name there but Joy. She's in the hospital. She's been in and out of the hospital for several weeks. Today she was taken back to the hospital. Not just with high blood pressure, but she is sicker than a dog. Her blood pressure is still high. Her heart rate is high. Her pulse rate is high. Everything's high. Please say a prayer for Joy. Please say a prayer for Joy. She needs our prayers. I believe Joy, and I know who she is, I believe Joy deserves our prayers. And she could possibly pull through this with our prayers and petitions to the Lord. So please pray for Joy. And pray for NCWQ, Earthquakes, News, and Disasters. We appreciate her as well. Yes, those moderate earthquakes, the 4.2s, I call them moderate. USGS calls them light. There's nothing light about those, I'm sorry. Moderate earthquakes can cause moderate damage, not light damage. That's why 3.0 to 3.9 have always been small earthquakes. Always. Unreal. Yes, all those earthquakes that are now hitting Taiwan are aftershocks, and we're probably going to see these moderate and small aftershocks over at Taiwan for a very long time. For a very, very long time. Now, does anybody have any questions? We've nearly been on the air an hour. G. Miser says our congressmen, meaning the senators and the House of Representatives, and our president and the Supreme Court are not trying to protect this land or its people. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. That is why we as a people need to take back control of the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives in November. We must, without equivocation, we must take back the presidency, we must take back the Senate, and we must take back the House of Representatives and put people in place that'll do the job. And toss these communists out. They must be taken out, removed. And I'm going to do so much as I can to try to remove these people myself. But I'm only one man. I'm going to continue to speak out against them. I will continue to speak out against them because I believe in the rule of law. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in God, our eternal Father in heaven. Please, help us take back our United States. And you people that live outside the United States, take back your own countries. This is absolutely necessary. Okay? Linda Covington has put up a word that I didn't want to see here in the chat. Linda, I'm not going to take it down this time. I'm hoping YouTube doesn't take it off. Meaning take off our channel. In the past, YouTube didn't like that word. I'm not going to repeat it. But they have been going on and on and on about that thing that happened 3 years ago. And they're still trying it now. although what they said was exactly wrong. And it's proven, scientifically proven, what they were telling us was wrong. It was completely false. It was false not just here in this country, but around the world. Okay? That's the absolute truth. It was false. Everything about it was false. That's proven. It's been proven. Carl Smith II says, I've thought of the idea of running for president if my health wasn't so bad I would. The same thing here. Many times in the past, some of you have even said, run for president. Yeah. Nobody knows me. I don't have name recognition except here. And YouTube's suppressing that. If you've known me for any length of time now, and I may still be being able to reach 3,000 and 4,000, 5,000 people on every broadcast. But heaven forbid that YouTube was be honest. YouTube, I've found, has gotten to be the most dishonest company in the world. Because they do not allow people like me to be heard. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. No problem, Linda. Please, everyone, please don't use that C word. I don't want to see it in chat. I don't want to see it out of my own mouth. Not going to happen. Also not going to talk about that thing that went like this. Not going to happen. But folks, we all of us around the world need to take back our countries and bring some kind of sanity to our countries again. Because all around the world, each of our countries is insane right now. It's gone insanity. It's gone into insanity, and it cannot be allowed to continue. So let's do whatever we can, guys. Let's do whatever we can to take our countries back and bring some kind of sanity back to our own lives. Please, let's think of God. Let's think of God and how He would have us act. That is the most important thing we could do. That is absolutely the most important thing we should be doing right now. Okay? Please help me make that happen. Because I truly believe we can. I truly believe we can. Now, I want to end on a positive note here. Okay? I'm going over to the scriptures. I want to talk about the scriptures here. Actually, there's two things I could talk about if you will allow me. I want to go over and talk about the prophet Ammon. He said, I do not boast in my own strength, nor in my own wisdom, but behold, my joy is full. Yea, my heart is brim with joy, and I will rejoice in my God. Yea, I know I am nothing. As to my strength, I am weak. Therefore, I will not boast of myself, but I will boast of my God. For in His strength, I can do all things. Remember that. In your strength, you can do anything. You can do all things. Many mighty miracles have wrought in this land, for which we will praise His name forever. Behold, How many thousands of our brethren has he loosed from the pains of hell? And they are brought to sing redeeming love. And this because of the power of his word, which is in us. Therefore have we not great reason to rejoice. This is exactly what we're talking about. Yes, my screen here, my monitor screen is frozen as well. That's what YouTube does when we're talking truth. Sad. Sad. The scripture goes on here in verse 14. Yea, we have reason to praise him forever, for he is the Most High God, and has loosed our brethren from the chains of hell. Yea, they were encircled with everlasting darkness and destruction. But behold, he has brought them into his everlasting light, yea, into everlasting salvation. And they are encircled with matchless bounty of his love. Yea, we have been instruments in his hands of doing this great and marvelous work. Mighty forces in God's hands. Now each of us has another responsibility. Now I want to talk about faith. Again, I'm going to the scriptures to talk about faith. Now, as I said concerning faith, that it was not a perfect knowledge, even so it is with my words. Ye cannot know of their surety at first unto perfection, any more than faith is a perfect knowledge. But behold, and this is where the prophets are talking each one of us. But behold, if ye will awake and arouse your faculties, even to an experiment upon my words, and exercise a particle of faith, yea, even if you can do no more than desire to believe, let this desire work in you, even until ye believe in a manner that ye can give place for a portion of my words. Now we will compare the word unto a seed. Now if ye give place that a seed may be planted in your heart, behold, if it be a true seed or a good seed, if ye do not cast it out by your unbelief, that ye will resist the Spirit of the Lord. Behold, it will begin to swell within your hearts. And when you feel this swelling motion, you will begin to say within yourselves, it must needs be that this is good seed, or that the word is good, for it beginneth to enlarge my soul, and yea, it beginneth to enlighten my understanding. Yea, it beginneth to be delicious to me. Now behold, would not this increase your faith? I say unto you, yea, nevertheless it hath not grown to a perfect knowledge. But behold, as a seed swelleth and sprouteth, and beginneth to grow, then you must needs say that the seed is good. For behold, it swelleth and sprouteth, and beginneth to grow. And now behold, will not this strengthen your faith? Yea, it will strengthen your faith. For ye will say, I know that this is a good seed. For behold, it sprouteth, and beginneth to grow. And now behold, are ye sure that this is a good seed? I say unto you, yea. For every seed bringeth forth unto its own likeness. Therefore, if a seed groweth, it is good. But if it groweth not, behold, it is not good. Therefore it is cast away. And now behold, because ye have tried the experiment, and planted the seed, and it swelleth, sprouteth, and beginneth to grow. Ye must needs know that the seed is good. Now, behold, is your knowledge perfect? Yea, your knowledge is perfect in that thing, and your faith is dormant. And this is because you know, for ye know that the word hath swelled your souls, and ye also know that it hath sprouted up, that your understanding doth begin to be enlightened, and your mind doth begin to expand. Verse 35 here. Oh, then is not this real? I say unto you, yea, because it is light. And whatsoever is light is good, because it is discernible. Therefore ye must know that it is good. And now behold, after ye have tasted this light, is your knowledge perfect? Behold, I say unto you, nay. Neither must ye lay aside your faith, for ye have only exercised your faith to planting the seed, that ye may try the experiment to know if the seed was good. Brothers and sisters, you can also know your faith. You can also know for a surety if what you're feeling is good. Pray. Just try to pray. If you find that prayer enlighteneth your soul, if you find very much comfort in prayer, it enlighteneth your soul and is good. When you're praying, if you find the things that you're praying for happen, it's because the Lord wants to bless your life. Take just a small part of what I have read to you out of the Scriptures. Exercise your faith. Try. Exercise your faith and truly ask God if what you're being told, what you're seeing in the Scriptures is true. Exercise your faith. Exercise your faith. The Lord is good. The Lord is great. The Lord wants to bless you. The Lord wants to bless you. This exercise in faith is and always has been true. Pray to find it out. Pray to find it out. Find if the things that you prayed for are true or not. You will get it revealed to you. Each one of us can receive personal revelation. I know that to be true as well. Each one of us can receive personal revelation for ourselves and our families. That power lies within ourselves from God. Please do that. Everyone here, please know this. Please know that I love you. Please also know that the Lord loves you. We all would not be here together if that wasn't true. I have found out that has been true for the past 5 years. Not just my faith has increased, but yours also. Your faith in me has increased. Your faith in the Lord has also increased. Your knowledge has increased. Your lives have been blessed as well as mine. I love all of you. I really do. I would not be doing what I am doing if I didn't. I would say, hey, too bad, I'm out of here. A lot of people have. I have not. I stood tall. I have stood strong, and I always will. I ask the Lord to bless you. I will continue giving you these elements of wisdom or these scriptures. I'm going to continue doing devotionals forever now. At the end of my programs, I will offer devotionals to everyone because I believe they're necessary, can help us lift ourselves and lift those around us up. Again, please pray for joy And also, please pray for Rebecca. Both of them need our prayers. I'm sure there are others among us that also need our prayers. Please pray for each other, and please pray for our families. We can all use that help. Now, in closing, may God bless you. May God be with you. That's all I ask. May God be with you this day and always. God be with you until we meet again. Have a great night, everybody. If something else happens tonight, we'll be back on the air to talk about it as soon as the information becomes available. If something happens tomorrow morning, we'll be on the air tomorrow morning. If something happens between now and tomorrow night, we will be talking about it as soon as we possibly can. But we will be back on the air just after 6 p.m. I've pretty much got this computer set up now to be able to do anything I want to do. And as soon as I stop giving out any political information, all of a sudden I'm able to talk. And you hear me fine and you see me fine. Isn't that interesting? God be with you until we meet again. I love you all very, very much. Good night, everyone. Much love. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everyone.